Hi, my name is Katherine and I'm an author and illustrator, and this is my latest picture book, Trouble. In this activity, we're going to do something that I love to do in my illustrations, which is to draw something surprising. I like to set readers up to expect one thing and then to draw something else, to draw something unexpected. So, as an example, in Trouble, on this page, Squirrel says he had terrible teeth, but we see Bear brushing his teeth. Squirrel says that he has knife-like claws, but we see Bear filing his nails. Squirrel says he has huge, horrifying hungers, and we see Bear eating a plate of cookies, a large plate of cookies. The unexpected is an important part of Trouble because it tells us a lot about the way Squirrel thinks. She has all of these ideas about Bear, but she's never actually met him. She makes a lot of assumptions, like on this page, where she's listening to him through the wall. Squirrel hears him banging and growling and smashing and imagines him to be a wild animal, but we see something quite different. So I use this technique, drawing something surprising, to show Squirrel's prejudice, to show the automatic negative thoughts that she has about Bear. Now what I'm going to do is show you how I create these surprising illustrations using a worksheet that I've created that you can download from my website so you can do it on your own later. You want to draw with me? So you can see I am all set up here with the worksheet, which I've printed out, and I have some pencils, but you could use pens or whatever you like to draw with. Now in the worksheet you can see that Squirrel is listening to something through a wall, and she's hearing some kind of sound that's making these sound lines. And Squirrel tends to think the worst. She hears something that she doesn't like. But we get the chance to draw what is making the sound, and we can draw something that people maybe would not expect. This is where we get the chance to do something surprising. So maybe what Squirrel is hearing through the wall is a howling sound. I'm going to draw a howl. Now she thinks it's a pack of wolves and they are up to the worst. Maybe they're doing something nefarious. I don't know what wolves usually do, but she is assuming the worst. And I am going to draw what is actually making the howling sound. So I always sketch in pencil first. Can you see that? It's pretty pale. So that's the head of the first thing that I'm going to draw. And it's got a snout. And then it's got a little jelly bean body. You can see I always work in shapes to start with. One leg, two leg, one arm, two arm. I wonder if you can see what it might be. I'm just giving little hints just to kind of plan out the drawing. I'm going to draw another one here. And again, a snout, two ears, one arm, two arm. Once I do the final lines, you will see exactly what I'm drawing. Maybe you can figure it out so far. And I might draw one over here too. Another body. Some legs. Some arms. Some little ears. Now I'm going to go in with some coloured pencil. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is something a little bit playful. So this will give you a hint. And maybe you can figure it out from here what I'm drawing. Oh, one. And I will do a yellow one. Can you see what they are? Little bow ties. Now that's not a standard wolf already. We can see that it's something a little bit different. So I'm going to start and do a nose. pursing lips because this wolf is not exactly howling. Here comes my dog. He's obviously heard the howl and has decided to come join us. 2 eyes and some patterning. So our wolf, not exactly howling, but maybe we haven't figured out exactly what they're doing yet. And it's not just one of them. Ear to ear. Figured out what they're doing yet. They're certainly making some noise. Who doesn't like making a little bit of noise? They look pretty dramatic. And they've got waggy tails, so we know they're happy. Draw some spottiness. And we've got one more. A little nose down here. So 3 wolves who are making some noise, but they're wearing bow ties while they do it. Because they are singing. Oh, there goes my pencil. They're not just howling. Different colour. They are singing in a wolf trio. Look at that. So there our squirrel is, with her small squirrely mind, assuming the worst, hearing the howling and thinking there are wolves next door up to no good. But we can see through the wall and we know that there are wolves howling, but they are howling a fancy little ditty. Okay, let's do another one. So this time I'm going to have a different sound. What will I do this time? How about Squirrel is hearing clack, clack sound. And of course, thinking the worst, she thinks it's someone sharpening knives and up to no good. The sound of clacking knives. But we know better. We know that there is something else, something maybe a little bit more playful, a little bit more fun or silly going on. And I'm going to draw what I think is going on. We'll see if you can guess. Maybe, or maybe I will surprise you completely. Doing my little sketchy lines first. As a bit of a guide. Now, I'm just going to get straight in and do some colour, I think. So, the first thing I'm going to do is set the scene. And this will give you a pretty big clue as to what's going on. Squirrel has some rather unusual neighbours. I'm not sure there are many people that can say they live next door to an ocean. I grew up next door to an ocean when I was a kid, but not everybody can say that. And we have a rather unusual oceanic animal called, does anybody know? It's a narwhal. I'm actually not sure whether it's narwhal or narwhale. It's one of the two. And our narwhal is not up to no good at all. They're actually playing. Can you see what they're playing at? Because there's two of them. They are playing a kind of sword fight with their fancy horns, but not just any sword fighting. Actually, I'm going to do something over the top of here. This narwhal's wearing something funny over the top of one of her fins. It's a little peg leg because they're playing pirates. Who would have thought? So all that clack, clack, clacking that Squirrel is hearing through the walls is actually the clacking of horns as these narwhals play a fun game of pirates. Got a bit of seaweed. I always like to set the scene just to give a little bit of colour and movement. And then you can do some, you could just do some little rocks. You could even do a shell. Maybe another little shell over here. So again, I have tried to do something surprising. We've got a sound here and Squirrel would think one thing and we're showing something else. My dog is having a little bit of a cough in the background. Bless you, Frank. So what you can do is you can not just do a drawing, but you can start to tell a story, which is what I'm doing. I have a noise, I have what the noise really is, and then the story comes into it because I also have an idea of what Squirrel actually thinks the noise is. So it becomes a story. There are multiple different things happening. Some are happening in the drawing itself, some are happening in the words, so the bits that I'm saying out loud and the story that I'm building on that. So these kind of drawing games are a fun way to come up with a new story idea. And this is how I make my stories. I start with a character, I figure out a little bit about who they are, and Squirrel, we know, is nervous and not very generous in her thinking. And then I start to discover other characters and how my first character feels about them and what she thinks. And then we start to discover what's going to happen in the story. So you can use these prompts to create your own stories too. I hope you do. And if you do, you can send them to me or you can write to me about them. And I love talking to kids and I love talking to teachers and parents. And really, I just like talking about stories and books. So thanks for joining me today.